continuing the subject of files and directories. So we have seen the files from user's perspective. So what does the user see from point of view of the files? What kind of attributes do they have? And what are they used for? What types of files we have? But today we will see how the operating system implements the file system. So we will look at file system implementation. So what are the implementers concerned with? We are concerned, if we will be implementing a file system, we are concerned with three things. First is how we're going to store the files and directories. How are we going to store them? How we're going to manage the disk space. And the third question is how to achieve efficient and reliable operation. So the file systems are stored on the disk, and we can divide the disk into one or more partitions, and on each partition we can have a separate file system. At the beginning of the disk, the first thing that we have is the master boot record. So we start with the master boot record. This is in sector 0 of the disk. So you will see MBR, or abbreviated to MBR for master boot record. At the end of this master boot record, we have a partition table which identifies each of the partitions that are to follow. So the end of the master boot record contains a partition table. In the partition table, it specifies the starting and ending address of each partition that follows. So, at what address on the disk each partition starts and ends. One of these partitions is marked as the active partition. So when we reboot the machine, the first thing that we run is the master boot record, which will activate the active partition. In the active partition is loaded the operating system. So that's how we start the operating system. So one partition is marked as active. When we boot, we have BIOS. The BIOS executes the master boot record. The master boot record locates the active partition. And in the first partition, the first block is called the boot block. And so that's executed, and the operating system is loaded into the active partition. So each partition is further divided. The first thing that it has is the boot block. This is in the active partition. Then we have a super block which contains some parameters about the partition, some key information. So the type of file system that it is, for example, the number of blocks in that file system, next we have this bitmap, which is used to show the holes or the free spaces that we have on that particular partitions. Remember the last time when we talked about memory management, we have seen that there are two ways to show which blocks are free and which blocks are taken. So one of them was the bitmap. So we have a 1 for taken block and a 0 for a block which is free. So the free space management, whatever mechanism we're using, is in here. inode is a Unix structure which is used for managing files. So there is one structure per file which contains the file descriptions. Then we have the root directory, and then we have the actual directory tree which branches off of the root that contains the files. And so the free space or a linked list, as we have seen in memory management. The inodes are special structures used, one structure per file, for managing files in Unix.